Amigos de Loud Metal Radio, bienvenidos a una edición más del Loud Metal Podcast. Yo soy Poncho, me conocen como Dr. Slipknot y hoy es un honor estar con un gran compositor, gran músico y que además trae muchas cosas de horror que seguramente les van a gustar. Él es miembro de Carach Angren, el gran compositor Ardek Villers. How you doing, man? I hope I pronounced your last name correctly because I don't know anything about Dutch.
Yeah, very good. Buenas tardes. Podrían.
Qué bueno. Nice to meet you, man. Nice to have you here. Welcome to Loud Metal Radio. And as we talked a little bit off air, but you're back with new music after 5 years. You commented very quickly on the pandemic and a lot of things going on, and time flies, everything. And now the Cult of Kariba is about to be dropped. It revisits the legend of the White Lady from Shinveld, and you're expanding the lore that you started back in 2008 with Lamendam, right? How's this story connected to that album in particular?
Well, it's cool. Like, Sergor and I, we were talking, like, usually after a release, we start talking, like, what are we going to do next? And so he came across some things that were indicating that there would be another dimension to this original story of the White Lady. Mm-hmm. And so we started researching, and we found out that there is this rich Kariba, and that the legend of the White Lady goes much further back, even into medieval times. And what happens a lot of times with, like, legends and urban myths is that over time, like, they grow and people add things to them and they spin off into different directions. So we researched, and I even came across a poem from 1870, and that was talking about a story, like, about Kariba the witch, and how she was betraying people, poisoning people. There was a love affair as well. And Sergor came across an article in a newspaper from the 1970s where there was a theater group from this town Shinveld. Like, they were playing out some part of the legend with the White Lady, and they were wearing masks and costumes. And just that group picture in black and white, you know, old newspaper, it looked already creepy to me.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I was reading Lovecraft short stories, and I love it. And so suddenly I got this idea, like, what if there was a cult in Shinveld trying to resurrect this witch or this White Lady? And I thought that idea was kind of creepy and cool. So, because a cult can exist secretly, it could be someone that you know, friend or family or a neighbor. And, you know, they could gather at night without you having any idea what's going on. And I thought that was a creepy, you know, realization. So we tried to combine those two. And then came the idea of an EP, because I felt like to do a whole other album about the story would be too much. So the idea was originally, like, this is going to be like something extra, but it's going to be very dense and very in your face, and it's going to be very focused. And because we don't like to do like what, I'm not saying that a lot of bands do that, but like to fill an album up with something, we don't do that. Like, we can't. Like, we work very hard on these songs. We sometimes let them sit for a couple of months, come back, change little details until we feel it's like super perfect. And that's how it happened, how it started.
I'm very intrigued with what you said, that it seems like everything fell into place, right? Because you came across this thing from 1800s and then 1970s and so on. Everything fell into place. So I was wondering, how did you come across that? But it was maybe like a lot of coincidences, or did you know where to look?
Yeah, at some point we found some things on a Facebook page by someone, because there are some people that are, like, interested in this, like, from that town. We know a guy that has been documenting it for decades. But once we got hold of some of those, like, little rumors, I contacted an archive in Heerlen. It's like near Shinveld, big town. And they sent a copy of that poem. They had that in their archives. So then it became, like, kind of cool, you know, like, this was actually a historical document that they are keeping there. And you can just buy a copy, but it's like, So, and then we started we always have to feel something. Like there are thousands of stories out there, but we have to be feeling that we're onto something. It's like an investigation almost. And when we're excited, then the music and the lyrics can come. And that happened with this. Like, this is cool, Kariba. It's like, this story is much deeper than we thought. We thought we had the whole legend on Lammendam. We thought we nailed it. Well, it wasn't. So.
And then surprise, man.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, And then, because like we love to do this. Like we've been doing this for 20 years longer, and we are really grateful that we have an audience. But even when we started, no one was listening to us. People were even laughing about what we were doing, but we still were doing it because we love this stuff. Like we were doing this exactly the same way. Nothing has really changed in how we approach this.
And it shows because the stories are so well crafted, and people have connected with it with all the stories over the years, right? And your cult, your fans have grown, and your fan base has grown. So it's very cool to see you where you are right now.
Thanks. Yeah, I think so too. And I mean that's an honor. And of course we think about it like, okay, what are the fans going to think? And that comes part of it. But we never do something like quickly, or like I always say we never do like an 8 out of 10. Like I can't. Like I have songs. I mean, I have some songs lying around, but they're just not good enough to me. So we don't do that. Maybe someone else would say, it's good, just put it in as well. But we just can't, and that's also why it takes longer. The bar is really high, and but I think people deserve that, and we deserve it ourselves to do something that we can be truly behind. Because also the thing is, when you go on tour and when you have to play those songs and things become hard, and then you're like, why am I here? Like this shitty song. It can easily become like daunting. And if there's one thing that people can say about it, like we always give like 100% because we love it so much. Like.
Again, it shows, and as you said, you don't have any fillers in, I think, none of your albums. I don't consider any song fillers, because every song has its purpose, not only musically but lyrically. Your albums feel like movies at some point. I was wondering, how is the creative process to build those narratives from scratch? From selecting the concept you'll talk about on the album, to writing the music, the lyrics. How is the creative process of every album, and in this case of the Cult of Kariba?
Well, it's sort of like an eclectic natural process. Usually when we feel something, like when we're onto something, then the music can start to come. Like I sit here at the piano and then things come out. And I usually build whole songs, like from start to finish, and then I send them to Seragor. And sometimes I'm not sure, like for example, the strange song on this album is actually the Dutch song.
Mm-hmm. Great song, by the way.
Like, thanks. And actually, that song came to me in the middle of the night. I woke up, I had to go to the bathroom, and I had this tune in my head, like the heavy bass sound, like. I was like, I have to go down to the studio. So I went down, I recorded it. I think in a matter of days, I finished like that song. And I wasn't sure, like, is this Carach, I'm not sure. Because I always keep the best, if it's possible, for Carach, of course. And so I sent it to Sergio, and he's like, yeah, that's amazing. And he said, I had always this idea for this Dutch lyrics. And then he came up with that, and it was super, also brutal lyrics. So he thought I was that it was going to be too brutal and too in your face. But
it builds. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it builds on the song, because it starts like going on its pace, and then at the end it just smacks you on the face. And I think that's a thing that characterizes Carach Angren, because it's again not only the albums feel like their own movie and their own story, but every song feels like a part of the story, and maybe a story by itself. This song feels like a story by itself.
Yeah, and we have these weird coincidences. Then, for example, the main tune in that song is like this, like it's like I was thinking. Then he came up with this title, and it was like "Ik kom uit het graf." We don't sing it. He doesn't sing it like that, but it was like, this is too perfect, So it was meant to be. And we are like super happy with that. We're on the phone and we're like, going crazy over that song. And then the other ones also came naturally over time. Like I remember, like, I always like to build up. So the EP starts with this intro, and I wanted it to sound like dense and like not like super orchestral, but more like this cult, this secrecy, like there's something is haunting you. And I like to then go into the next song, and it basically starts again with an even bigger intro. It gets more creepy. I like to build it up, and then like it goes all in, and yeah, I just get excited with that, and then it sort of flows naturally, and then the story comes together. Sometimes we have problems, like the Dutch song I was talking about. It was like, how does that fit in? And then we found out that there was this like essentially like attacker of the witch that wanted to come back from the dead, and it was like, this is perfect. And also the song sounds very different, so it's like the cult is trying to resurrect the witch, but instead her attacker comes back. So this song is basically like an interrupter also on the EP, so it's like this meta communication almost, and we love that stuff, and it comes together, and then at some point it feels done, and then we go
and publish it. Yeah. And that I don't know why, but that's the song and the main tune, if you will, came to you on a dream. It reminds me a lot of The Sighting is a Portent of Doom and The Consequence Macabre from Death Came from a Phantom Ship. I mean, on a brighter side, I believe, but it still matches up, Yeah. And in your albums, of course, horror sometimes feels like a metaphor for complex human realities. How do you think horror has allowed you to talk about those complex subjects of society and, of course, of humanity, of humans?
That's a good question. I mean, we like to be storytellers, so we are not interested in like bringing anything from society per se literally into it. But and that is liberating, because we can go pretty far. Like in our lyrics, we go sometimes pretty far. But it's like some of the movies we watch, they go pretty far as well. Like there are horror movies out there that are very intense, and I think this is kind of liberating in the genre, that you can really push the boundaries and go really far and portray things that are disgusting or that you really don't want to think about. But I think it's also therapeutic in some ways, like for us to do it like that. But also we've encountered people that actually went through horrific things, and they say to us like, we listened to, for example, This Is No Fairy Tale, and it's awesome. So that's kind of pretty cool, and but it also is humbling to, I mean, we talk about a lot of very horrible things, and luckily most of them have never happened to us in that sense, but it is a very creative genre in that sense, and you can go very far, and you can create contrasts. I like that as well. Like you can start, for example, on the last album, Frankenstein, it starts very calm, like something in the forest, and then you can take that and you can disrupt it entirely, and that's nice. And you see that in horror movies too. It's like the cliche, the girl walking through the forest, and the pretty girl, and then the slasher comes.
Of course, yeah.
And that's great about this genre. You can do everything and anything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And in some kind of way, you talked about how many people have been using your music as catharsis at some point. It's you talk of yourselves as storytellers, but of course there's a part of the artist world and being an artist that you put something out there, and then people do whatever they want with it, and they maybe transform it in some sort of way, and it's I believe to be one of the great things about being an artist. I don't know your take on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about like, I think about it a lot also recently, like what do you leave behind? It's maybe also it can also sound very much about ego, but I don't think it's about that. But I like it, like when an album gets released or something gets out, it comforts me that like when I'm gone, that people hopefully still listen to some of this stuff, because I was also realizing that a lot of music I listen to is from people that are already dead. Most of it actually, which is crazy, like because as artists and like labels and people in the industry, we were always focused on now, and like we need to release and we need to go, and like things like Spotify, like they urge you like another single every week, a song. And I think we forgot a little bit about this idea. I read once a story, it was like when in the older days they would build cathedrals, like a lot of people that worked on the cathedrals would never see it finished. They would work on one layer their whole life, but they knew they were building something big, but they would never see the end of it because like people would only get 30 or 35. And I sometimes like to think about that too, like we're building something, we're expressing culture, but sometimes maybe 100 years from now, people can look back on it and say, hey, wait a minute, now we get it, or it shines in a different light. It happened to Bach as well. When Bach was composing, people were not really so thrilled about it, apparently, and it was just centuries later that now we are like, holy shit, we see it in context and people actually enjoy it much more. And I get intrigued by that. I don't know if that was related to your question, but I just went off. Yeah.
No, that's perfect, man. And there's this thing about maybe leaving a mark on everyone that listens to you, and of course, what comes in the future. Are you like intrigued by what would happen when you're gone, and what people will, if people will listen to your music or not, or how will they use it or take it, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, again, it could also be just one big ego trip. I don't think so. I was talking to Sergor about it the other day. Like we don't have kids, for example. So we always talk about it. Yeah. So we talk. Yeah, at least we have these albums that people can listen to.
They're your kids, man, right?
Yeah, in a way it is like. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm so fortunate that I met him and that we can do this together because, like, we have such a click in that writing and how we do this stuff. So that's like super cool. And I think about it, but at the same time, like, you don't have control over it. If I die today or tomorrow, like, that's it, but it's comforting right now to think, at least some people will listen to it, and because I remember when I was young, I always wanted to have a CD in the stores. I wanted it so bad, and I think Sergor too. So it was always like, we need to build this band, and we need to. And now we have arrived at that point already at some time, and it's crazy. Like I never take it for granted. Like never. Like even if we make $1 with our music, it's like wow, and I think I'm very grateful that we have that. Like because it's very easy to get distracted in this business in this world. To think like, it's why are we doing this, blah blah blah, and people also can talk you down, like, why are you still doing that? Does it make a lot of money? Why don't you get a job? Like all that has been happening to us all our lives. But we're very stubborn. Like,
you're not gonna take us down easily, man.
No, and like I said, we did it when we were kids, and we still do it the same way. It's the same stuff. It's like, hey, have you seen this movie? Wow. I send this melodies, and he's like, wow, that's so crazy, man. Like, that's what we do. And no matter, like, I mean, it's awesome that so many people listen to it. It's really, but it has never been a determining factor. Like, now we have X amount of fans, or like, no, we always just love to do this again. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned that you were reading Lovecraft when you were doing this DCP, right? Do you remember the first horror film or tale or story that really scared you in your life? And if you do, how do you think that experience influences the way you create music?
It's a good one. Well, actually, it was the mini-series It. It was.
Of course, yeah.
The old one.
Yeah.
I think I was only 10 or even younger. Mm-hmm. And I remember it was going to air on TV. We just had an antenna TV because we live near a forest. And we saw like little snippets during the commercial break. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to see that. And they were like, no, this is too much. You cannot see that. I really want to. And they allowed me. I was fucking terrified for weeks. There was this scene where this girl is brushing her teeth, and then this balloon comes out of the sink and explodes, and all the blood, and you hear like, "We are the dead children." I didn't brush my teeth for weeks.
Yes, of course.
And so that, and then, but I always like, and Saragor had the two. We were always from, as we were kids, drawing monsters, drawing dead things, like think there was something going on. But I was fascinated with dinosaurs, with monsters, with everything connected to it. Skulls, like from a young age, it was just there. And I don't know why, but it has always pulled me in somehow. And yeah.
Yeah, and how did that experience influence, or that, you told me, right, like you don't know where it came from, it just appeared, but did that had to do something with how you do music nowadays? Because it seems like you are always creating. You just mentioned that you will watch a film and then you create a melody and then you go back and forth and say, well, dude, that's crazy, that's wild, and so on. So
yeah.
Did that have to do with how you create music now?
Well, I think that later those things came together, because when I was like 6 or 7, like we had to sing songs in school, for church and all that stuff. And I remember I had this little red keyboard, like like a toy, and I would come home and I would memorize those songs and I would start to play them. And my mom noticed that. So wow, and they started complimenting me. Wow, it's so good, you remember that and you're playing that. And I enjoyed that. That stimulated me, so I got really into playing. But it was usually like for church, actually, choirs and like pop music and all of that stuff. And it was just later on that, like, the love for horror and that I learned about movie scores, and that all came together. And then during my teenage years, yeah, it grew more parallel in that sense. But initially it were separate things. It was my music, and then, I liked monsters and dinosaurs and all of that. And so that's how it started, yeah. Okay.
And of course, everything is, especially nowadays, in constant change and even faster and so on. And so are our fears and our how we view horror and so on. And all of these stories that come up, what current situations or what stories do you have in mind that maybe could potentially be good material for future albums? Can you think of any?
Well, like lately, I mean, we talk, like Sarah and me, we talk about a lot of things. Like lately, we have been talking about the vastness of space. Like, it's almost philosophical, but he was like black holes, things like that. There have been some more discoveries about that. Like, you see it in the news now and then, like new discoveries, space, etc. And like he has been watching some documentaries and going into that, and so we talked about that and like how mind-blowing that is, that you cannot really comprehend it. So who knows, maybe that's going to influence us at some point. We don't see it clearly like now, but that's one of the things. But like you said, it is ongoing. We're always like talking, and then suddenly something hits us.
Maybe we can see Carach Angren goes to space in the future.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, it could be. Would be kind of a challenge.
It could be great, man. As you said, there are maybe not so many horror films in space. Of course, we have the science fiction ones like Alien and so on. But
yeah, sure.
There are some not horror films, I believe, like Gravity, that really shows us how one thing goes wrong in space and then you're there forever and like helpless. So even if you try and you do anything, you're helpless out there. And it's not only that, but as you said, the black holes and the vastness of space and many other life forms, if there are, it's a pretty interesting topic.
Yeah, and I remember I attended a talk from a astronaut once. It was, I don't remember the name right now, but he said that when he was in space and he could see the Earth on one side, and in the other window he would look into the nothingness of space.
Nothing, yeah. Eternal
and
black.
He said, like, yeah, it didn't bother him, but he had colleagues that would get completely terrified. They couldn't do that. Like, they would get this, like, it's like Nietzsche, when you stare into the abyss stares back.
Stares back. Yeah.
But, like, So, but I think it differs per person. But sometimes it's interesting, like when you watch a movie with your friends and you get completely terrified, or like, and then your friend says, "Yo, I didn't do anything." So
Yeah.
it's a bit like, okay, but that's also human experience. We have different
Yeah, totally.
experience.
All right. One quick question before we go into another segment of the show. Of course, this interview is for Mexico, for Mexican fans, from Carach Angren. The last time you were here in our country, it was at Mexico Metal Fest almost 3 years ago in Monterrey. And the last time you were here in Mexico City, it was 9 years ago. And I had the privilege of knowing Namtar and Seregor back then, and Jack, I believe it was your guitarist back then. I couldn't meet you, but it was cool. But it's been a while now. Do you have any plans of coming back here to Mexico soon?
Yeah, we're working on it. It's always a matter of what offers come in, timing. Now that we have this, now that we have this release, it's also more appealing for promoters to reach out and we have something new. So I'm very confident that it will happen again. Yeah.
All right. We hope to see you soon here, because last time you were here, it was last time I could see you, it was a bang, man. It was a great concert, and I'm sure the fans here at Loud Metal Radio will have a great time when you come back to Mexico City. We have a segment in this show. It's just random questions. We get to know the person on stage, but we don't get to know the person himself. So we want to ask some random questions, if you like. Are you up for it? Yeah. All right, perfect. Can you name an album that changed your life?
Oh, that's a good question.
And you have to dig deep, because in my case, I have like 2 favorite albums. So it's like, what am I going to today, Which one am I picking?
Yeah, and it changes all the time for me too.
Exactly.
Sometimes I think like this, and sometimes I think like that, and I don't know.
It could be like an album of orchestral pieces, or a rock metal album, or whatever.
Yeah, as a kid, it was Jurassic Park soundtrack.
But the first one.
Yeah, the first one, of course, John Williams. But it's very majestic. But there are also some terrifying parts in there. There's like horror score in there. It's like, when they go to when the T-Rex has destroyed everything, there's this track. I don't know the name, but it has this really deep, like double bass cello, like
yeah.
Love that stuff. And I think he's influenced a lot by Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky. You hear that in John Williams' score back. So after that, I went back into those scores and things like that. So I think that changed a lot in my life, because it is crazy. Like, if you only grow up with radio and you hear pop songs all the time, and then when you watch a movie and it hits you so hard, the movie, and you start to wonder why that is, and you start to learn about, hey, this is actually the score. And when I listen to it, this is not just a chorus verse kind of thing. This is like a 10-minute track that goes through all these different sceneries. And I think that's also influenced, because that's what we do as well. We have some simpler songs nowadays, but like if the latest single, Resurrection of Kariba, is also like, it goes through different moods, and we do that too. We make basically movie scores in a way. So I think, that one and some others have been like very influential. Yeah.
All right, perfect. On another topic completely, does pineapple belong on pizza? Yes or no? Or whatever?
No.
No? You're against it?
No, I can eat. My wife hates it. Like, she...
Really?
I read the menu and I read like pizza Hawaii, she already is like, oh. I sort of got conditioned to dislike that, I guess.
Okay. So it was not up to you entirely. I mean, you had no problem, but then your wife said, no, that's an aberration.
I prefer others as well.
All right. Gotcha. If you could collaborate with any horror film director to create a musical project, who would it be?
Oh, God.
Or maybe any film director. It doesn't have to be horror.
I like Christopher Nolan a lot.
Okay.
And Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, of course.
So those are like super big names, but that would be awesome.
Yeah, but they're both master storytellers in like a different way, of course. But they're both great storytellers.
Yeah, and very different. But what I really like with Spielberg that is like the camera angles. Like I'm not so much a fan of like these super epic shots but I like this claustrophobic stuff. He did that in Jurassic Park, but a lot of even War of the Worlds, which is an epic movie. There's like the close-up shots. I like that stuff in general. And and if you talk about Nolan with Interstellar, it's claustrophobic per se because it's space and you're locked. And but he works a lot with actually the story without seeing things. Like there's this scene when they go into this planet and time on the planet is going much faster than in the ship. So they go for 7 minutes, come back up, and the guy has aged 30 years. The first time I saw that, I was like mind blown. Because I'm also more of a reader, I think, than a movie watcher. I like both, but just that concept was like, wow. And someone else might say like, yeah, that didn't really do it for me. I like action or I like things to see. But that's what I like about Nolan, like these mind tricks that he plays. Like.
And how he tells the stories, because it makes you think a lot to, pay attention to the details, and then you put the pieces together, like, for example, on Dunkirk or Oppenheimer. Almost all of his films have that element, and that's what appeals to me the most from Nolan. But yeah, I mean, he has a way to make you feel in different moods throughout different movies and different times of the movie, and that's why I appreciate that the most from him.
Yeah, and he has always a super strong dramatic center at heart of the movie. So
totally.
It might be about space or Dunkirk, but there's the people and the drama between the people, the relationships, and that's like super solid, and it's kind of crazy because usually when you watch epic movies, you go for the spaceships and all the action, but with him, it's like the daughter and father, for example, with Interstellar. That's like the red thread throughout that movie, and the background is actually the space things, and so I find that very intriguing, super original, and it works for me. Like when I watch it, I'm in there. Yeah.
All right. So do you go more do you look for inspiration first of all to create music, or it just comes to you?
No, I have to look, not look, but I read things, I watch movies, we have our talks about things. And then, you sit down, I sit down at the piano usually, and then things start to happen. But something has to go on in your own life, I think, before something can come out. Like, if you just sit there or you just scroll on your phone, then that's not going to be a lot of input, at least not from me. So I need that, and it can be anything. But I don't force it. I don't go like, now I'm going to watch this movie and it's going to be inspiring, or like, no, I just encounter things, but I'm open to it, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Finally, so there are many ghost stories in your albums, and some ghost encounters and so on. Have you or Sergor ever had like a paranormal experience or encounter?
Well, we have had weird things. Mm-hmm. Like, the usual stuff when you wake up and there's noises. I remember as a kid, I was sick and I was like in my parents' bed, I think, alone. And at some point I woke up and I heard all these voices like coming over me through the house.
Dude.
That was very strange.
Yeah. But do you think that was your sickness, or do you not even think about it?
Could be. I mean, this is the cool thing. Like, I'm a rational person naturally, so you could explain everything, but sometimes it's also fun to not explain things and leave them there. There was one occasion when that was very strange. Like, my father had just passed away. It was in 2011. And he loved the weather. It was his hobby. Like, snow was his favorite thing. When it would snow, he would predict it. He was completely bananas about that. Mm-hmm. And I remember that around that time, I woke up one night and I went to the bathroom again, and I looked out the window and everything was completely white. There was snow.
Dude.
And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And then I woke up the next morning and it was all gone. And no one had seen it. Like I was thinking, it was snowing last night and no one had seen it. So I took that as a very strange but very fond memory. I was like, rationally you could explain it. It's like probably it had snowed and it had gone away and who cares? But it was something special for me.
Of course.
And sometimes it's cool to just leave it at that and to say to the rational side, like, doesn't matter, So, yeah, I like those kind of coincidences or weird experiences, and leave them for what they are. Yeah.
Even though you're a rational person, you leave the magic to some of those stories or most of those stories.
Yeah. Because I don't like it when not everything has to be like destroyed like that. Like, some people have that, like you say something and say, yeah, but that can be this or that. And I'm like, yeah, okay. That's not fun,
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just fun to leave a little bit of magic. And that's also inspiring,
Exactly.
And, then you have something to tell and to talk about. And
and it's fascinating to compare those experiences. Maybe you tell this story and then someone says, dude, I had like it's the same experience or something like that. And then you go back and forth and then, the conversation and the experiences grow, I think, and the connection too.
Yeah. I like that. So, yeah.
All right, perfect. To close this up, what does the future hold for Carach Angren? You have this new EP, The Cult of Kariba, dropping on October, it's 19th, I believe, or 16th?
17th, yeah.
17th. You're going to put that out in a little less than a month. Then what? What does the future hold?
Next week, we're going to go on tour to Asia, China, Japan. So we have a tour line. Cool. It's like 7 shows. And we are, like I said, we're looking to go into other parts of the world again. There's talks about European tour, maybe. Festivals are coming in, the European festivals. So hopefully Latin America, hopefully come back to Mexico. So we're looking into all of that, yeah.
All right. Do you have any final message for our audience here at Loud Metal Radio? Something you want to say?
Thanks for listening and for the support as always. And check out the Cult of Kariba very soon.
We're going to be playing a lot of the Cult of Kariba here at Loud Metal Radio. Mr. Clemens Ardek Villers, thank you so much for being here. It was an honor, and we hope to see you soon here in Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Gracias a todos. Nos escuchamos en el próximo Loud Metal Podcast. Hasta la próxima.